You have been taught that, "Thank you," is the most powerful phrase in this world. But have you ever known the terrifying truth? When you misuse this sacred word, it does not simply become powerless. No, it does far worse. It can become a curse that drains the light from your very soul. Many people repeat these words from morning until night, yet their lives never change. And their hearts never feel lighter. That is because an empty, thank you, a gratitude without a soul, is not a blessing. It is a poison. Today, we will explore this darkness together, so that you may reclaim the true power of gratitude. Chapter 1: The Echo of Emptiness. You likely believe, as you have been taught, that the more you say, "Thank you," the more fortune will smile upon you. You repeat it like a mantra, a sacred chant, hoping to unlock a better life. But I must ask you a difficult question. As you say these words, day after day, does your heart truly feel lighter? Does your life truly begin to change? For so many, the answer is a silent, frustrating, no. There is a strange emptiness that follows the words, a feeling that despite doing the right thing, nothing is improving. I can see it in the spiritual realm. I see these hollow words, these phantoms of gratitude, drifting aimlessly in the air. They are beautiful on the surface, but they are merely sounds, shells without a soul. They carry no light, they deliver no power, and the person speaking them, perhaps you yourself, feels no relief. This is not your failure. It is a profound and painful truth of the universe that is rarely spoken of. An insincere word of thanks is not just neutral, it is a weight. It is an echo in a void, a reminder of a connection that was never truly made. Have you ever felt this? You say, "Thank you," to your boss, your partner, a cashier. And yet, you walk away feeling just as heavy as before. It is as if your spirit knows you have spoken a gentle lie, and it quietly mourns the loss of your own authenticity. This is the first state of suffering we must understand together. The suffering of dutifully performing a ritual, only to find it hollow and meaningless. It is the quiet despair of a soul that is trying to give thanks but cannot seem to find the feeling to match the words. Let me tell you a story to show you what this looks like from the outside. There was a young man, walking along a mountain path. He became lost and was growing desperate as the sun began to set. Just then, an old man appeared, as if from the earth itself. The old man, seeing the young man's distress, invited him to his small home. He served him warm tea and began to speak. He did not speak of trivial things. He spoke of the lessons he had learned over a long and difficult life. He spoke of how a person should live, and what one should truly treasure. His words were deep, quiet, and carried the weight of true experience. His eyes seemed to gaze at something far away, as if he were seeing beyond time itself. The young man listened. He nodded his head. He said, "I understand." When the old man had finished speaking, the young man stood up. He bowed his head deeply and said, with perfect politeness, "Thank you very much." And then, he left. But as he walked away, his steps were light. Too light. Nothing of the old man's wisdom had remained in his heart. The profound words had vanished on the wind. He was no longer thinking about them at all. By the next day, he had even forgotten the old man's face. Back in the small home, the old man sat alone, quietly sipping his tea. He knew, he had known from the moment the words were spoken. He knew that his lifetime of wisdom had not reached the young man's soul. Do you see the tragedy in this story? The young man was not rude. He was not ungrateful in his manners. He performed the ritual of gratitude perfectly. But he failed in the one area that truly mattered. He did not truly receive the gift he was given. The old masters used to say, "Gratitude without realization is just a phantom drifting in the sky." It's like this: you can be given a seed, but if you do not plant it in the soil of your heart and water it with contemplation, it will never grow. The young man heard the words as information, but he did not allow them to become wisdom within him. And so, his "thank you" was just an empty sound, a conclusion to a conversation. It was not the beginning of a transformation. Now, I ask you to look at your own life. When was the last time you truly received a compliment, a piece of advice, or even just a simple kindness? Did you allow it to sink into your soul? Or did you, like the young man, say, "Thank you," as a way to simply move on to the next moment? This is not a small thing. When we do this, we are not just being forgetful. We are, in a subtle way, wounding our own spirits. There was a man I once observed. His face was always clouded, his eyes were vacant, and his heart seemed so heavy. Yet, he said, "Thank you," constantly, from morning to night. I realized that he was saying it at the wrong times. He was saying it when his heart was not ready, when his motives were not pure. And each time he spoke that hollow word, he inflicted a tiny cut upon his own soul. Perhaps this is happening to you, too. You may be trying to be a good person, a grateful person. But if the feeling isn't there, forcing the words creates a conflict within you. Your mind says one thing, but your soul knows the truth. This conflict is a source of immense, unseen suffering. It is the burden of pretending, the exhaustion of trying to feel something you don't. And you are not alone in this struggle. I want you to know that your frustration is valid. The feeling of being stuck, of your spiritual efforts bearing no fruit, is real. But you are not lost. This feeling of emptiness is the first step toward finding the truth. It is a signal from your soul that something is wrong with the way you have been taught to use this sacred word. The problem is not the word, "thank you." The problem is the emptiness we fill it with. And that emptiness has a source, a dark origin. In our next chapter, we will delve deeper into this darkness. We will explore the terrifying truth of how this seemingly positive word can become not just empty, but an active curse. We will uncover how a "thank you," spoken with hidden resentment or as a transaction with the divine, becomes a poison that you feed to yourself. Stay with me on this path. The truth may be unsettling, but it is the only way to liberation. Chapter 2: When Blessings Become a Curse. In our last chapter, we spoke of the emptiness that can follow a hollow "thank you." We spoke of the quiet suffering that comes from a ritual without a soul. But now, I must guide you into a deeper, more unsettling truth. This is not a matter of mere emptiness or wasted words. The truth is far more terrifying. An empty word of gratitude is not just powerless. It can become a curse. This is not a metaphor. This is not a superstition. It is a spiritual law that I have witnessed time and time again in my long years of communion with the unseen world. A hollow "thank you," when filled with the wrong intentions, becomes a poison that you, the speaker, willingly drink. Why does this happen? How can a word of gratitude curdle into a curse? There are three primary reasons. Three dark paths that turn a potential blessing into a spiritual affliction. The first reason is this: gratitude without a heart is blasphemy against the divine. Think about it. So many of us say it out of habit. "Thank you for this day," we might murmur upon waking. But is your soul truly engaged in that statement? Or is it just the movement of your tongue, an empty sound echoing a learned script? From a spiritual perspective, a phrase like this, offered without sincerity, is like a beautiful, shining apple that is rotten to the core. It is a deception, and the divine, which sees not our actions but the deepest truths of our hearts, is not deceived. There is nothing that offends the heavens more than the pretense of gratitude. I once knew a merchant. Every single morning, he would stand before his household shrine, clasp his hands together, and say, "Thank you for my prosperous business." He recited the words perfectly, but in the depths of his heart, a different prayer was screaming. "I want more money. I wish my competitors would fail. I hope their businesses collapse so that I may grow richer." And what was the result? The more he chanted his false gratitude, the more his business began to fail. His customers left, his debts grew, his fortune withered away to nothing. This was not a coincidence. His false gratitude, a shell of piety filled with jealousy and greed, became a potent poison. And it did not poison his competitors. It poisoned him. It rotted his fortune from the inside out. That is the first path to the curse. The second reason is even more insidious. It is when gratitude is used to hide resentment. We have all been in this situation, have we not? You must say, "Thank you," to someone you dislike, someone you resent, perhaps even someone you hate. On the surface, your words are polite. Thank you. But underneath, in the secret chambers of your heart, a fire of hatred is raging. When these two forces are mixed, the outward appearance of gratitude and the inward reality of resentment, they create a terrible spiritual toxin. And its target is never the person you resent. The target is always, always yourself. Let me tell you the story of a certain woman. Every evening, when her husband returned from work, she would greet him with a smile and say, "Thank you for your hard work, dear." But her heart told a different story. Inside, she was seething with frustration. Why can't he earn more money? Why doesn't he try harder? Why are we still struggling? These bitter thoughts churned within her, hidden behind her daily word of thanks. And then, her husband fell ill. The family's finances became even more difficult. It was only then, in her moment of despair, that the woman realized the horrifying truth. She understood that her own false gratitude, her polite words filled with unspoken bitterness, had acted like a curse upon her own family. Gratitude that is used to conceal resentment is not gratitude at all. It is, quite literally, a curse you cast upon your own life. The third reason is perhaps the most common in our modern world. It is when gratitude becomes a transaction. You say, "Thank you for everything. So please, grant my wish." This is not a prayer of thanks. This is a negotiation. It is an attempt to bargain with the divine. But the divine is not a merchant. The universe is not your business partner. A man once came to me, his face etched with confusion and frustration. He said, "Master, I spend an hour every single day in prayers of gratitude. Why is my business still failing?" I looked at him and asked a simple question. "Tell me, what is the nature of your gratitude?" He replied without hesitation, "It is the gratitude I offer so that my business will succeed." In that moment, I understood everything. This man's gratitude was not a pure offering of the heart. It was a payment. It was a business deal. He was not giving thanks, he was trying to buy a miracle. And the heavens do not engage in such transactions. So now, my friends, I ask you to look within yourselves. Look at the thank yous you speak each day. Do they fall into one of these three dark categories? Is your gratitude a hollow habit, spoken without a soul? Is it a beautiful mask, hiding a heart full of resentment? Or is it a coin, offered in the hope of buying a favor from the universe? If you recognize yourself in any of these descriptions, even a little, I urge you to stop. Stop immediately, because what you are practicing is not gratitude. It is a curse. It is a poison that is slowly, imperceptibly, corroding your soul. But please, do not despair. Do not be afraid. Now that you have looked into this darkness, you can begin to find the light. The reason I am sharing these terrifying truths is not to condemn you, but to liberate you. For what I am about to share next is the nature of true gratitude, the gratitude that the heavens truly rejoice in and accept. Once you learn to cast aside these falsehoods and offer gratitude from a pure heart, you will unlock a power that can fill your life with light and bring forth miracles. Are you prepared to do this? Are you ready to see through the lies you have been telling yourself and embrace the truth? If a heartless thank you is a poison, then a heartfelt thank you is a guiding light. In our next chapter, we will learn to distinguish between the gratitude that God accepts and the gratitude that God rejects. Knowing this difference is the first step to breaking the curse and changing your destiny forever. Chapter 3: The Mask of Gratitude, Manipulation and Escape. We have now seen the suffering that arises from an empty thank you. We have faced the terrifying truth that a word of gratitude can curdle into a curse. So, the next logical question we must ask is, why? Why do we do this? What is the origin of this suffering? What are the hidden motives that compel us to speak these hollow words, to poison our own souls? The causes of this spiritual sickness are not grand or mysterious. They are born in the simple, everyday moments of our lives, from the fears and desires that live within all of us. Today, we will unmask two of the most common causes. The first is when we use "thank you" as a tool of manipulation, a key to unlock something we desire from another person. Let me paint you a picture. It was a bitter winter day. The first snow of the season had just begun to fall, clinging to the branches of the bare trees. I watched a man standing before the gate of the wealthiest house in the village. In his hands, he clutched a small, carefully wrapped package. A gift. His face was flushed, and not just from the biting cold. It was the flush of anxiety, of desperate hope. He took a deep breath and passed through the gate. The master of the house, a rich and powerful man, came out to greet him. Immediately, the man bowed his head so low that his forehead nearly touched his knees. "You have always been so kind to me," he began, his voice dripping with humility. Every time the master spoke, the man would nod eagerly. "Thank you so much. Truly, thank you. Your words are a treasure. Thank you." His voice was impeccably polite, his manners flawless. But I could hear another voice, a desperate scream hidden beneath the surface of his polite words. "Please, lend me money. I'm begging you." After some time, the man left. The very instant he passed back through the gate, the polite smile vanished from his face as if it were a mask he had torn off. His shoulders slumped, his footsteps were heavy as he trudged home through the snow. When he arrived at his own cold house, he simply sat down on the floor and stared blankly at the wooden planks beneath him. He felt a deep and profound sense of self-betrayal. Why? Because his soul knew that he had been lying. The "thank yous" that this man had spoken were not words filled with the living spirit, the Kotodama. They were not light, they were smoke. They were a smokescreen designed to hide his true intention. And that smoke did not just obscure the master's vision, it clouded his own soul, dimming his own inner light. When we speak words that our heart does not truly feel, we betray ourselves. And the pain of that betrayal is felt most deeply not by others, but by us. The ancient ones used to say, "When the heart does not dwell in the words, the heavens close their ears." The universe is not listening to the movements of your lips. It is gazing into the deepest corners of your heart. And if that heart is filled with calculation and desire, then no matter how beautiful your words are, they will never reach the heavens. Now, I ask you, my friend, have you ever worn this mask? Have you ever offered a cascade of "thank yous" to a boss, a client, or a person of influence, hoping to gain their favor? Hoping for a promotion, a sale, or some other advantage? And in that moment, after the performance was over, did you feel a sense of lightness and joy? Or did you feel, as that man did, a quiet shame, a heaviness in your spirit? Please, do not judge yourself for this. This is a trap that many of us fall into. But recognizing the trap is the first, and most crucial, step to escaping it. What is the alternative? If your heart is not genuinely moved, it is better to say nothing. Silence is more honest, and therefore more sacred, than a false "thank you." Or you can say, "I appreciate your time." But save the words "thank you." Keep them precious. Use them only for the moments when your soul truly trembles. Now, let us examine the second great cause of this suffering. This is when we use "thank you" as a shield, a way to escape from a difficult truth. It was a late autumn afternoon, and the sun was beginning to cast long shadows across the fields. A man was in his house when he heard a knock at the door. He had a debt, a loan from his neighbor that he had been unable to repay for over 6 months. His heart began to pound in his chest at the sound of the approaching footsteps. He opened the door. His neighbor stood there, his face calm and gentle. The neighbor asked if he was well. The man nodded, but he knew what was coming next. "About that money I lent you," the neighbor began softly. The man's face turned red. His gaze fell to the ground. "Ah, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. I remember. I will pay you back, I promise," the man said quickly. "Thank you for being so patient," he added. Then he immediately tried to change the subject. "So, how are the crops? But the neighbor still looked as though he wanted to say something more. The man pretended not to notice. "Thank you. Let's talk again soon," he said, and gently closed the door. Night came. The man lay in his bed, but he could not sleep. He stared at the dark ceiling, sighing into the silence. Nothing had been resolved. He had not solved the problem of his debt. He had only closed the door on it. He had used the phrase, "thank you," to end the conversation. And now, his heart felt even heavier than before. In this moment, this man's "thank you" was not a word of gratitude. It was a shield. It was a barrier he used to protect himself from facing the uncomfortable truth of his situation. But the old one said, words of escape lose the light. When you use "thank you" to close a door on a difficult conversation, who do you think gets trapped behind that door? It is no one else but your own soul. The truth does not disappear just because you run from it. In fact, the more you run, the heavier its weight becomes. So, what should he have done? What should you do in these moments? If you cannot find the right words, it is better to be silent. Or, it is better to be honest. To say, "This is difficult for me right now. I need a little more time." That honesty, however uncomfortable, will make your heart lighter than any shield of false gratitude ever could. So, look at your life again. Do you use "thank you" as a way to end arguments? To deflect criticism? To avoid conversations about money or responsibilities or feelings that make you uncomfortable? This use of the word, this act of escape, is another of the great origins of our suffering. It is the reason our words feel hollow and our hearts feel heavy. We have now unmasked two of the great pretenders, the "thank you" of manipulation and the "thank you" of escape. But there are other, more subtle masks that we wear. There are forms of false gratitude that are even harder to recognize, because we often mistake them for genuine virtue. In our next chapter, we will confront two of these, the "thank you" that comes from a place of arrogance, and the "thank you" that is born of fear. Stay with me. The path of self-knowledge is not easy, but it is the only path to true freedom. Chapter 4: The Shield of Gratitude, Arrogance and Fear. We have walked through the shadows of manipulation and escape. We have seen how "thank you" can be twisted into a tool to get what we want, or a shield to hide from what we fear. But the origins of our suffering do not end there. Now, we must confront two causes that are even more subtle, even more difficult to see within ourselves, because they often disguise themselves as virtues. I speak of the "thank you" that is born from arrogance, and the "thank you" that is born from fear. Let us first examine the poison of arrogance, which so often hides behind a gentle smile. It was a beautiful spring day. In the garden of a large mansion, all the flowers were in bloom. A wealthy woman sat on her porch, sipping tea. Her clothes were made of the finest silk, and her garden was perfectly manicured. She lived a life of ease and abundance. Just then, her neighbor, a woman from a much poorer family, came to visit. In her arms, she carried a few ears of corn, with a little bit of soil still clinging to the husks. They were fresh from her small field. The poor woman's clothes were old and patched. Her hands were rough and tanned by the sun. She smiled, a little shyly, and said, "These came out this morning. I thought you might like some." The wealthy woman smiled back. It was a perfect, elegant smile. "Oh, thank you," she said, her voice soft and kind. "How thoughtful of you. You shouldn't have." Her words were flawless. Her tone was gentle, but her eyes were looking down on the other woman. And in her heart, she was thinking something very different. "You poor thing. Is this all you can bring me? You must be desperate for me to like you." The poor woman bowed and left, but as she walked out of the gate, her footsteps felt heavy. Something was bothering her heart. She had just been thanked, but for some reason, her heart did not feel warm. Instead, she felt smaller. Suddenly, her corn, which she had been so proud of, seemed like a pathetic, miserable offering. Do you see what happened here? The wealthy woman's "thank you" was, on the surface, correct in every way. but the heart behind it was filled with arrogance. She saw her neighbor not as an equal, but as someone beneath her, someone to be pitied. And that feeling of superiority, that subtle poison of condescension, rode upon the sound of her words and was delivered directly into the other woman's heart. The living word, the Kotodama, is brutally honest. No matter how beautifully you decorate your speech, you cannot hide the distortions of your own heart. The old one said, "Words born from a prideful heart are cloaked in darkness." When you say, "Thank you," while secretly pitying the person in front of you, your words do not cast light. They cast a shadow, and both of you, the giver and the receiver, become trapped in that cold shadow. I ask you now to look honestly into your own heart. It is a difficult thing to do, but it is necessary. Have you ever said, "Thank you," for a gift, a compliment, or a service, while inwardly thinking you were superior to the person you were thanking? Have you ever felt a sense of pity, disguised as kindness? This is a very easy trap to fall into, especially when you are in a position of relative power or wealth. So what is the path forward? When you say, "Thank you," make it a practice to look the other person directly in the eye. Not from above, and not from below, but as an equal. And as you do, ask yourself a silent question: is my heart in a state of balance right now? If the answer is no, then perhaps it is not yet time to speak that sacred word. Now, let us turn to the second of these subtle shields, the thank you, that is born from fear. It was a summer night. The people of a village had gathered in the community hall after the harvest to discuss their plans for the coming year. The village chief sat in the seat of honor, and the villagers sat below him on the floor. In the flickering lamplight, the chief was speaking about his plans. Suddenly, one of the farmers raised his hand. "Chief," he said, "I have a question." The air in the room grew a little tense. The man stood up. "It's about the distribution of this year's rice," he said. "It doesn't seem fair. The fields in the north have poor water, yet we were asked to provide the same amount as everyone else. This isn't right." The chief's face hardened, just for a second. The other villagers held their breath. Then, the chief raised his hand and manufactured a smile. "Ah, thank you," he said, his voice calm and steady. "That is a valuable opinion. I will be sure to keep it in mind. Let us speak about it in more detail later." And then, he immediately changed the subject. "Now, about the seeds for next year." The farmer sat down. He opened his mouth to speak again, but it was too late. Nobody was listening. The other villagers looked down at the floor. They all understood. With that single "thank you," the discussion was over. That night, the farmer returned home with a heavy weight in his chest. He had not been able to say even half of what he wanted to say. The chief's "thank you" had acted like a heavy door, slamming shut on the conversation. Now, the chief was not a bad man, but his "thank you" was a word born from fear. He did not want to hear criticism. He did not want to create conflict or make waves. And that fear took the shape of the word "thank you" and used it to silence the other man's voice. The old masters taught that words that spring from fear disturb the harmony. True harmony is not a state where everyone is silent. True harmony is a state where everyone feels safe enough to open their hearts. But when you use "thank you" to cut someone off, you are not creating harmony. You are only creating silence. A false, heavy silence. So, how does this appear in your life? Do you use "thank you, that's a great idea, we'll think about it," to shut down a suggestion from a subordinate at work that you don't want to deal with? Do you use "thank you for your concern" to stop your partner from talking about a problem in your relationship that makes you uncomfortable? It is a powerful and effective weapon, but it is a weapon that wounds the spirit of trust. So, what is the better way? It is to listen, in silence, until the other person has finished speaking. Even if their words are painful to hear. Even if they sting your pride. And only after you have heard everything, after you have taken a moment to think, should you respond. From that place of patient listening, a true "thank you" can be born. A thank you for their courage to speak the truth. We have now seen the masks of arrogance and fear. They are the causes of so much of our unspoken suffering, turning our words into shadows and shields. But there is one final cause, one that is perhaps the most dangerous of all, because it is entirely unconscious. It is the sickness of habit. In our next chapter, we will look at the robotic, thoughtless, thank you, that we repeat every day, and how this seemingly harmless habit can slowly freeze the hearts of those we love the most. Stay with me on this journey. By continuing to look into these shadows, you're preparing yourself to finally step into the light. Chapter 5: The Sickness of Habit. We have journeyed through the dark landscapes of the soul. We have unmasked the thank you of manipulation, of escape, of arrogance, and of fear. These are the great, visible causes of our spiritual suffering. But now, we must face the final and most dangerous cause of them all. It is dangerous precisely because it is invisible. It does not feel like a poison. It does not feel like a shield. It feels like nothing at all. I am speaking of the thank you that is born from mere habit. The unconscious, robotic repetition of a word that has been emptied of all meaning. This, my friends, is the sickness that quietly corrodes the most precious bonds in our lives. Let me tell you a story. There was a man, a good man, a decent man. Every evening, he would return home from work at the exact same time. And every evening, his wife would be there, waiting for him with dinner ready. A bowl of steaming rice, a cup of warm soup, and side dishes, all prepared with care. The man would sit down at the table. He would pick up his chopsticks. And then he would say it. Thank you. His voice was like a spell, a mantra repeated without thought. Every night, the same tone, the same word, in the same moment. But the man's eyes were looking only at his bowl of rice. He never looked at his wife's face, so he never noticed that her hands had become rougher than they used to be. He never saw the small cuts on her fingertips. He did not see the new strands of white that had appeared in her hair. He would simply sit, eat, say, thank you, and his duty would be done. It had become his ritual, his habit. His wife never said a word, but inside her heart, little by little, something was growing cold. In the beginning, all those years ago, her husband's thank you had made her happy. It was a small, warm thing she could hold on to. But as the years passed, she felt the weight of that word become lighter and lighter, until it was nothing more than a feather of sound, drifting past her. She came to a sad and lonely realization. Her husband's thank you was no longer reaching her. It was just a noise, a hollow word, empty of a soul, like the meaningless chirp of an insect in the night. One evening, after he had finished his meal and spoken his customary word, she asked him a simple question. How was the dinner tonight? The husband looked up, confused. He could not answer. He could not remember what he had just eaten. He looked down at his empty bowls, a blank expression on his face. The wife said nothing. She simply lowered her head. And in that moment of heavy silence, the man, for the first time, realized the truth. He realized the utter, devastating emptiness of his own thank you. He understood that for years, he had been thanking a ghost, a concept of dinner, but not the woman who had lovingly prepared it. This is the fifth and final scene of our suffering. Now, I must ask you to turn your gaze away from this story and back toward your own life. Are you, perhaps, repeating the same words every day? When you say, thank you, to your partner, your children, your parents, is your heart truly present in that moment? Or is your mind already somewhere else, thinking about work, about your worries, about the next thing on your to-do list? The ancient ones taught, when the soul does not dwell in gratitude, the light falls asleep. When you repeat a word without putting your heart into it, that word loses its power. But it is worse than that. It does not simply become neutral. It can actually chill the heart of the person who receives it. Because a hollow thank you is a profound form of neglect. It tells the other person, I do not see you. I do not see your effort. I am not truly here with you. Words are living things. If you do not fill them with your soul, they die. And we are left in a world filled with the walking corpses of dead words. We have now seen all the masks, the manipulation, the escape, the arrogance, the fear, and now, the most tragic of all, the simple, devastating emptiness of habit. This unconsciousness is the soil from which all the other poisons grow. When we are not present, we fall into our patterns of fear and desire. And so you may be feeling a sense of despair right now. You may be realizing how often you have spoken these hollow words to the people you love the most. Do not be discouraged. This realization, this painful moment of clarity, is not the end. It is the turning point. It is the moment you stop, look at the sickness, and finally ask the most important question of all. How do I heal? Now that we understand the origin of the suffering, we are finally ready to explore the cure. In our next chapter, we will turn away from the darkness and step into the light. We will learn about the kind of gratitude that the heavens truly accept. Not a transaction, not a habit, but an unconditional state of being that can change everything. The journey has been difficult, but the most important steps are yet to come. Stay with me. Chapter 6: The Gratitude the Heavens Accept. For 5 chapters, we have walked together through the shadows. We have looked at the suffering, and we have examined its dark origins. But I promised you that we would not remain in the darkness. And now, we have arrived at the dawn. From this moment forward, we speak of the cure. We speak of the light. We will now learn the difference between the gratitude that the heavens reject, and the gratitude that the heavens joyfully receive. For no matter how many times you say, "Thank you," if it is not the kind that reaches the divine, it is all for nothing. First, let us be clear about the gratitude that the heavens reject. It is the gratitude that is built on conditions. I am healthy, so I am thankful. I have money, so I am thankful. My family is safe, so I am thankful. On the surface, these sentiments seem beautiful, but they are as fragile as glass. The moment the condition changes, the gratitude shatters. If you get sick, you resent the divine. If you lose your money, you curse the divine. If tragedy strikes your family, you doubt the divine. This is not true gratitude. This is a transaction based on convenience. It is a fair-weather friendship with the universe. I knew a shopkeeper once. As long as his business was booming, he would pray at his shrine every day, saying, "Thank you for this prosperity." But the moment his fortunes began to turn, he began to rage. Why is this happening to me? Is there no God, no Buddha? That is the true nature of conditional gratitude. The divine sees this wavering heart. It sees the selfishness at its core, and it cannot accept such a fickle offering. So then, what is the gratitude that the heavens accept? What is the gratitude that has the power to change your destiny? It is unconditional gratitude, a gratitude that does not change, no matter what happens. A heart that does not forget its thanks, no matter the circumstances. This, and only this, is true gratitude. It is easy to be thankful when life is good, but the true test of your spirit, the true measure of your connection to the divine, comes in the moments of your deepest suffering. When I myself was thrown into prison, stripped of my freedom and my name, I gave thanks every single day. The others in that place, they must have thought I was mad. But I prayed. For this silence, I thank you. For this solitude, I thank you. For this ordeal, I thank you. And in that darkness, my heart was filled with a brilliant light. I felt the love of the divine more profoundly than I ever had in my moments of success. It is in the heart of suffering that the true power of gratitude is revealed. That is the first pillar, unconditional gratitude. Now, there is a second form of gratitude that the heavens rejoice in. It is the practice of giving thanks in advance. It is the heart that says, "Thank you," as if its prayer has already been answered, even when there is no evidence of it in the physical world. This is the gratitude that receives the blessings of the future. And this is what creates immense power. Listen to the story of a certain farmer. For years, his harvests had been poor. He struggled constantly, but he changed his approach. When he planted his seeds in the spring, he would pray. For this year's abundant harvest, I thank you. For the fruits of the earth that I have not yet seen, I thank you. His neighbors laughed at him. He is a fool, they said, thanking for something that does not yet exist. But that year, and every year after, that farmer was blessed with the most bountiful harvests in the entire region. Why? What happened? By giving thanks in advance, he called forth the blessings of the future into the divine moment of the present. You must understand that God, the universe, exists beyond time. For the divine, the past, the present, and the future are all happening in a single instant. When you offer gratitude in advance, you are aligning your heart with that timeless reality. You are opening a channel through which the blessings of the future can flow into your present moment. That is the second pillar, gratitude in advance. And now, we come to the third and final form, the one that the divine rejoices in most of all. It is the practice of rejoicing in the happiness of others, and giving thanks for it as if it were your own. For that person's health, I thank you. For my neighbor's good fortune, I thank you. For the peace of the world, I thank you. When you can give thanks not just for yourself, but for the well-being of all others, you begin to live with a heart that is the same as the heart of the divine. The universe loves all people, all beings, without condition. Therefore, when you rejoice in the happiness of another as if it were your own, you come closest to the heart of God. This is the highest form of gratitude, and it is the path that makes your soul one with the divine. So, my friends, I ask you to carve these three pillars into your heart. Unconditional gratitude, gratitude in advance, gratitude for the happiness of others. If you can practice these three, I promise you, your gratitude will reach the heavens. And the blessings of the heavens will pour down upon your life in astonishing abundance. Remember this, gratitude that depends on conditions is shallow and will soon vanish. Unconditional gratitude is deep, and its power shines brightest in adversity. Gratitude in advance pulls the future toward you. Gratitude for others changes the world. When you begin to practice these, strange and wonderful miracles will start to happen around you. You will wake in the morning feeling lighter. People will seem kinder. Difficulties will transform into blessings. What I want you to understand is that the power does not lie in the words, "thank you," themselves. The power lies in the state of your heart. When you hold true gratitude within you, those words become light, they ascend to the heavens, and they reshape your reality. But this is not the end of our story, for there are secrets, sacred methods, to make this gratitude even stronger. To turn it from a gentle light into a powerful force, a way to make the single phrase, "thank you," into a thunderclap that can shake heaven and earth. In our next chapter, I will bestow upon you the secret treasures that will transform your words into power. Chapter 7, Forging the Lightning, the 6 Sacred Forms. From this moment forward, I will bestow upon you the secret treasures. The methods that will transform your gratitude from a simple word into a tangible power. If you speak the words, "thank you," carelessly, their strength diminishes. But if you offer them in the correct way, that single phrase can become like a bolt of lightning, shaking heaven and earth. First, you must understand a fundamental truth. Words have souls. This is the principle of Kotodama, the spirit that dwells within language. Every single word you speak takes on a real form in the spiritual world. A word spoken with a true heart ascends to the heavens as a brilliant golden light. An empty word of thanks sinks to the earth as a murky black fog. Words are alive, and because they are alive, there is a proper way, a sacred etiquette, required to transform your gratitude into true power. There are 6 of these sacred forms. The first is to choose the right time. The most powerful moments of the day for offering thanks are the instant the sun rises, and the instant the sun sets. At these 2 times, the energy of heaven and earth is at its purest and most balanced. If you offer your gratitude in these moments, your words will travel directly to the divine. Even on a cloudy day, it is enough to simply face the east in the morning, or the west in the evening, and bring your hands together. You do not need to see the sun. Its divine light is flowing from that direction, whether you see it or not. The second form is to correct your posture. Straighten your spine. Open your chest. Bring your hands together in front of your heart and offer your thanks. If you offer your gratitude with a slumped, careless posture, the power of your words will be cut in half. Your posture is a physical expression of your inner state. It is a vessel for your reverence. When you show your respect for the divine with your body, your gratitude shines even more brightly. You may be sitting, that is fine. But do not round your back. Bow your head slightly, and quiet your mind. The third form is to speak the words aloud. To simply think them in your mind is not enough. The power is weaker. Even a small voice is fine, but you must speak the words clearly and with your whole heart. Your voice becomes a vibration, a wave that resonates in the space around you. That vibration is what reaches the spiritual dimension, carrying the soul of your words with it. If you elongate the vowels and regulate your breath as you speak, that vibration will purify your entire body. The fourth form is to observe the proper number of repetitions. You must speak the words, "Thank you," 3 times. Once is not enough. Why 3 times? Because 3 is a sacred number. It represents heaven, earth, and humanity. It connects the past, the present, and the future. By speaking your gratitude 3 times, you cause it to resonate across all dimensions. The basic form is this: place your hands together, take a deep breath, bow once, and say, "Thank you," 3 times. Then, bow once more. The fifth form is to purify your space. In a cluttered or unclean place, the words of gratitude will become muddied and lose their power. Before you offer your thanks, prepare the space. You can do this by sweeping the floor, opening a window to let in fresh air, or tidying your desk. Remove anything that might distract your mind. In our modern world, silencing the notifications on your phone is also a crucial act of purification. It is in the quiet and the stillness that the power of your words will grow. And the sixth and final form is to offer your gratitude with a pure heart. If, after your thanks, you add the words, "So please grant my wish," then everything is ruined. You must say only, "Thank you." Ask for nothing. Simply offer your reverence for what you have been given. It is in that moment of selfless offering that the divine will bestow upon you the greatest blessings. By observing these 6 sacred forms, your gratitude will be transformed from a mere word into a spiritual power. Let me tell you of a sight I once witnessed in the spiritual realm. There was a woman, suffering from a terrible illness. The doctors had given up on her. She had lost all hope. But every single morning, she faced the eastern sky and, with tears streaming down her face, she would continue to chant, "For this illness, I thank you. For this ordeal, I thank you." At first, her voice trembled with pain and sorrow. But as she continued, a sense of peace began to settle in her heart. 3 months later, her illness had vanished without a trace. She was restored to perfect health. How did such a miracle occur? It happened because, without even knowing it, she was practicing these 6 sacred forms. She chose the time sunrise. She corrected her posture kneeling in prayer. She spoke the words aloud, and she said them repeatedly. Her space was purified by her focused intent, and her heart was pure, asking for nothing, simply accepting her fate with gratitude. Her words became a golden light that ascended to the heavens and moved the heart of the divine. So now, I invite you to try this. Tomorrow morning, as you feel the first light of the sun, stand with your back straight, bring your hands together, and quietly say, "Thank you," 3 times. Purify your room, clear away your distractions, and ask for nothing in return. It will take you only 90 seconds. But those 90 seconds can change your entire day. And if you continue, eventually, it will change your entire life. The words, "Thank you," are not just a sound. They are the vibration of your soul itself. That is why, when you offer them in the correct way, they can become like lightning, shaking the very foundations of heaven and earth. The accumulation of this small, simple habit is what will eventually call forth great miracles into your life. But there is another level to this practice, a more difficult, and therefore more powerful, step on this path. In our next chapter, we will discuss why it is that you must give thanks precisely for your moments of greatest suffering. When you understand the reason, the world you see before you will be transformed into something entirely new. Chapter 8: The Treasure in the Flames. Gratitude for hardship. And now, we arrive at the most difficult, and therefore, the most important teaching of all. I am going to speak to you now of gratitude for your suffering. This is the true touchstone. This is the trial by fire that separates a person of true faith from a person of false faith. Can a person say, "Thank you," when they are sick? When they are poor? When they have failed? Listen to the story of a farmer. A great flood came and washed away his entire field. Everything was lost. His family fell to the ground, weeping. The other villagers were in despair. But the farmer alone, he knelt down on the ruined, muddy earth, looked up to the sky, and said, "For this ordeal, I thank you." Those around him thought he had gone mad with grief. But the next year, from that very same ruined land, a hot spring began to bubble up from the ground. The farmer opened an inn by the spring and became more prosperous than he had ever been before. If it were not for the flood, the hot spring would never have been discovered. His greatest hardship carried his greatest blessing. You must understand this: the divine does nothing in vain. Every suffering that is given to you has a purpose. It has a meaning. Hardship is a gift from God. The wrapping paper may be ugly, torn, and soiled, but the contents within are treasure. Just as gold becomes purer when it is tested by fire, the soul has its impurities burned away by suffering. It is only by becoming sick that you truly understand the blessing of health. It is only by experiencing poverty that you notice the smallest of blessings. It is only by failing that you learn the indispensable virtue of humility. Without hardship, the soul cannot grow. I know this from my own life. When I was thrown into that prison cell, at first I was bitter. I was filled with resentment. Why must I endure this? Is the divine unjust? But one day, a voice spoke to me from the stillness of my soul. This very ordeal is what will forge you into a true sage. From that moment on, I began to give thanks for my life in prison. And then, a strange thing happened. The guards began to treat me with a quiet respect. The coarse, simple food began to taste delicious. My tiny, cramped cell began to feel like a place of peace and sanctuary. The power of my gratitude transformed my personal hell into a heaven. When life is going smoothly, it is easy for a person to forget God. But it is in times of suffering that we cling to the divine with all our hearts. That prayer is not a performance. It is not a decoration. It is the raw cry of the soul. And that is the sound that the heavens love most of all. Therefore, your gratitude in the midst of suffering reaches the heart of the divine more directly than any other prayer. There is one more thing. To give thanks for your hardship is to accumulate great spiritual merit. Anyone can be grateful in the good times, but the one who can be grateful in the difficult times is rare indeed. And that rare soul is especially beloved by the divine, and is given the greatest blessings. Therefore, the suffering you are enduring right now is the very seed of your future happiness. Your illness is the path to a new understanding of health. Your poverty is the path to a new understanding of abundance. Your failure is the path to a new understanding of success. It is all part of the divine plan. That is why, precisely when you are in pain, you must say with all your heart, "Thank you." I have known people who, while weeping, have repeated the words, "For this ordeal, I thank you. For this lesson, I thank you. For this opportunity to grow, I thank you." At first, they could not say it from the heart. But as they continued, their hearts began to change. They began to see the blessing hidden within the suffering. And then, the miracle occurred. The illness healed. The poverty ended. The failure transformed into a great success. This is the power of gratitude for hardship. If you are in the midst of suffering right now, I want you to know something. It is a sign of a special love from the divine. It is an ordeal that is only given to those who have been chosen. Do not feel shame. Instead, feel a sense of honor. And give thanks. That hardship will purify you. It will temper you. and it will transform into a treasure that will allow you to grow into a true sage. I declare this to you with all my certainty: hardship is not a curse. It is the greatest gift that God has entrusted to you. The moment your heart truly understands this, your tears will turn to light, and your despair will turn to hope. So do not be afraid. Do not reject your suffering. Embrace it, and give thanks for it. From that very instant, your miracle will begin. Now that we have accepted this most difficult truth, we must learn how to live it. In our next chapter, I will teach you the practical methods for cultivating this gratitude in your everyday life. How to live a day, from morning to night, that is so filled with gratitude that your destiny cannot help but change for the better. Chapter 9: Weaving a Day of Light, the Morning and Midday Path. And so, we have come this far. You have faced the shadows. You have understood the light. But knowledge alone does not change a life. It is only through practice that the power of gratitude can begin to move your destiny. In this chapter and the next, I will teach you how to fill your entire day, from the moment you wake to the moment you sleep, with the spirit of true gratitude. If you can continue this practice, I promise you, miracles will begin to visit your life. Let us begin with the morning. The very first moment you awaken, while you are still lying in your bed, I want you to quietly say these words 3 times. For this day, I thank you. For this life, I thank you. For this new beginning, I thank you. This simple act will attune the vibration of your heart for the entire day. Next, if you can, go to a window and face the eastern sky. It does not matter if you cannot see the sun. Place your hands over your heart and say, "For all the blessings of heaven and earth, I thank you." As you say this, feel yourself receiving the pure, clean energy of the morning into your entire being. Even the most mundane acts can become sacred rituals. When you wash your face, do not forget to give thanks. For this pure, clean water, I thank you. To be able to turn a handle and receive water is not a small thing. It is a great blessing. Do not take it for granted. Before you eat your first meal of the day, you must bring your hands together and say, "For this food, I thank you. For the people who prepared it, I thank you. For the blessings of the earth, I thank you." If you can eat each bite with a sense of gratitude, then that food becomes medicine. It will heal your body and give you strength. When you are ready to leave your home for the day, stand before your door for a moment. Take one deep breath and offer a silent prayer in your heart. Please protect me throughout this day. For the good encounters I will have, I thank you in advance. As you walk down the street, as people pass you by, offer them a silent gratitude in your heart. For this person's happiness, I thank you. You do not need to say it aloud. To simply think it, to direct that pure intention from your heart, is enough. If you do this, the very air around you will begin to change. And your own heart will become softer, more open. The same is true when you arrive at your work, or go about your daily tasks. Whatever you are doing, reframe it with gratitude. For this opportunity, I thank you. For this chance to learn, I thank you. And if you encounter a difficulty, a challenge, a frustration, immediately switch your perspective. For this experience, I thank you. When you do this, the difficulty begins to transform into a blessing. The failure begins to transform into a lesson. When you meet with people during your day, I want you to make it a practice to find one good thing about them, and give thanks for it in your heart. For my encounter with this person, I thank you. This is a powerful practice, especially with people you find difficult. Even if it is a person you do not like, you can still find something to be grateful for. For what I can learn from this person, I thank you. If you can do this, you will find that your heart feels lighter, even in the most challenging social situations. Do you see what we are doing here? We are weaving a thread of gratitude through every single moment of the day. We are taking the mundane and making it sacred. We are transforming unconscious actions into conscious acts of devotion. This is not a difficult practice. It does not require you to go to a special temple or to spend hours in meditation. It is a path that you can walk in the midst of your ordinary, everyday life. But you must be consistent. At first, you will forget. You will fall back into your old habits of mindlessness and complaint. That is perfectly normal. Do not judge yourself. Simply, gently, bring yourself back to the practice. Bring yourself back to gratitude. What will happen when you do this? First, you will notice a change within yourself. Your heart will feel lighter. You will find it easier to be kind to other people. Your frustration and anger will begin to lose their power over you. This is the path. It is a path made of thousands of small, conscious moments of thanks. And each of these moments is a step away from the world of suffering and a step toward a world of light. But our day is not yet complete. The path of gratitude must continue into the evening, and even into the moments before we sleep. In our final chapter, I will teach you how to complete this sacred circle. I will show you how to end your day with thanks, and how this complete, unbroken practice is what truly opens the door to the dawn of miracles in your life. Chapter 10: The Complete Circle, the Evening Path and the Dawn of Miracles. You have learned the path of the morning and the midday. You have learned to weave a thread of conscious gratitude through the fabric of your day. But our sacred work is not yet finished. To complete the circle of light, we must carry this practice into the evening, and into the final moments before we sleep. When the afternoon begins to fade and the sky in the west begins to glow, find a moment to stand and face it. This is the time to offer your gratitude for the day that is now passing. Offer these words to the setting sun. For allowing me to live through this day in safety, I thank you. For the many blessings I have received, I thank you. And now comes a crucial part of the practice. You must look back on your day and give thanks not only for the good things, but also for the things that were difficult. For the frustrating meeting, for the unexpected problem, for the moment of sadness. For each of them, say in your heart, "For this experience, I thank you. For this awareness it has brought me, I thank you." When you can do this, you are truly mastering the art of gratitude for hardship. When you sit down for your evening meal, just as you did in the morning, bring your hands together with your whole heart and give thanks. And now, the most important time of all arrives. The time just before you sleep. When you are in your bed, close your eyes. And I want you to recall 3 things from your day for which you are truly grateful. They do not have to be large things. In fact, it is better if they are small. I was grateful for the delicious meal I ate. I was grateful that I made it home safely. I was grateful for the moment I shared a smile with my family. Hold each of these small, perfect moments in your mind, one by one. And then, as you drift toward sleep, speak these words aloud 3 times. For this day, I thank you. If you can make this your final act of each day, I promise you, your sleep will become deeper. Your waking in the morning will be lighter and more joyful. I know this path is not easy. At first, you will forget. You will be tired, and you will simply fall asleep. Do not give up. Keep trying. Eventually, this practice will become a natural part of you, and your heart and your body will begin to change. First, you will feel a lightness in your spirit. You will find yourself being kinder and more patient with others. And then, the miracles will begin. Unexpected good news will arrive at your door. When you are in trouble, help will appear from a source you never could have imagined. Your relationships will become smoother, more harmonious. Your health will improve, and smiles will return to the faces of your family. This, my friends, is the power of gratitude. So I ask you, begin today. Begin with the gratitude of the morning, and complete the circle with the gratitude of the night. Wrap your entire day in this sacred practice. If you do this, I assure you, your life will begin to shine. It will overflow with the blessings of the divine, and you will grasp a true and lasting happiness. But I must give you one final warning. This path is not an easy one. If you become lazy, you will quickly return to your old ways, to the world of false and empty gratitude. People may call you strange. They may laugh at you for being old-fashioned, but I urge you to keep walking this path. Precisely because this world is so full of false gratitude, it is in desperate need of those who practice the real thing. If you can stay on this path, change is inevitable. At first, the changes may be small, You feel a little lighter when you wake up. You feel a warmth in your chest when you meet people. Your food tastes more delicious. But eventually, the great changes will come. Your work will prosper. Your relationships will heal. Your health will be restored. Laughter will fill your home. And in that moment, you will know. You will have mastered the true power of gratitude. And this power is not for you alone. As you become a purer, clearer vessel of light, the people around you will be saved as well. You will give hope to those who are suffering. You will show the way to those who are lost. You will guide those who are in despair. And beyond that, lies a world we can build together. A beautiful world where we respect and thank each other. This is not a fairy tale. It is a future that can be realized if each and every one of us begins to practice true gratitude. Become a part of building that world. When the morning comes, begin with thanks. Correct your heart, and cast aside all falsehoods. Practice true gratitude, and let your light shine. One day, I hope you will tell me what experiences you have had after you have practiced these secret treasures. And so, we arrive at the end of our journey for today. Remember this final truth above all else. The act of saying, thank you, is not a performance for the benefit of others. It is a sacred ritual to purify your own heart. The real power is not found on your tongue, but in the genuine stirring of your soul. So, I ask you to cherish this word. Do not use it lightly. Unleash it only when your heart truly trembles with feeling. Do this, and you will not only change your own destiny, but you will become a light in this world. May the divine protection be with you always. Thank you for watching.